Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks again, for joining the Voyage Outdoors podcast. We have Dan, the fitness man, and who also runs Elk Shape YouTube channel, which is an awesome YouTube channel if you haven't checked it out. And Dan, thanks again for jumping on. I know you have a lot going on. We'll kind of dive into some of your most recent trips that you've done. Some big ones like Alaska, which I think you guys took a fan, correct? A subscriber?
Yeah. Yeah, we took a subscriber and their friend.
How'd that go?
Epic.
Yeah.
Epic, man.
Yeah, I can't wait to see the videos come out for that. That's gonna be awesome. Did they have a blast and just enjoy every second of it?
Yeah, I mean, these guys had a trip of a lifetime, and the movie, we made a movie out of it. Yeah. So it drops Monday, June 6th. It's a premiere at 5:30 p.m. PST, and it's some of our best production yet, quality wise. Producer Tim did his best, and it's always fun to. It's not fun to have a cameraman, but it's fun when the hunt's over to watch the footage.
Yeah.
So
yeah. I mean, we've just kind of dove into filming in the last 3 years, and it's a whole new hurdle, right, to get over. I mean, I've missed so many good hunts, shots, because the camera wasn't ready, and I'm just taking the shot. It's just so much new waters to swim through. But so I always start out with rapid fire questions. Okay. And I'm going to ask you them. All right. It's, either or questions. All right. Just kind of get it fired off. So the first one, favorite animal to hunt besides elk?
Spring bear.
Okay. I thought you were going to go bear. I really did on that one. I almost did. What do you like more, elk or bear? But I'm guessing elk is your all-time favorite animal to hunt. So, all right. So bear there. All right. My next one's going to be tough. You have 4 days to kill an elk. All right. And if you don't in those 4 days, you can never hunt elk again. Where are you going to make it happen?
So
you can go anywhere. You have a tag for every state, westy state that you have. I'm giving you unlimited tags there, unlimited areas. You don't have to say, a certain unit or not, but northeast, west, what state, where are you going?
I'm going to a ranch, man. Whatever ranch I can get my access to.
Okay, let me rephrase that. What public ground are you going to hit up?
There you go.
Yeah.
Not Colorado.
Okay.
And
yeah,
probably if it's OTC, we don't have a lot of options, but just probably Idaho.
Idaho.
Yeah.
And do you get in their little, start time where you get in there, get in the thing, get your number? Do you do that every year for Idaho?
So I could be a resident in Idaho if I wanted to. I have a house there and a house in Washington, and I haven't done that yet. But based on how it's going, you're looking at a guy who may fully commit to living in Idaho just for the hunting.
Yeah. Do you have an Airbnb? You have an Airbnb there right now, currently, right? Correct.
Yeah, we're doing that with that house.
I think I saw that video where you guys were talking about doing an Airbnb. We're trying to do the same thing. We're trying to purchase a couple Airbnbs now, more vacational style stuff. But that'll be cool. I think a lot of people would love to stay at your place. But all right, I'll get back to the rapid fire. All right, solo hunting or hunting with somebody?
Solo.
Really? All right. 100%. Yeah, and then my last one, figured this one would be easy, but public or private elk hunt?
I haven't really done much private elk hunting. So I can't really say one or the other, but I can only imagine what it's like to hunt unpressured elk, or what the caveat being is, if I hunted private, I don't want a guide. I want to call the shots. And I don't know if that's possible in this day and age, man. So I'm going to go public. I'll take any decent elk tag I can get, man.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right. That was my last one. All right. So now that we're done with those, I like to dive in because look, I've been watching you guys for a while now. Love your channel. I want you to take me back to Dan as a kid, when you found hunting, at an early age, and kind of what progressed from there.
Well, my dad was pretty serious whitetail hunter, rifle.
Awesome.
And we kind of were poor, to be honest, growing up. So we ate a lot of wild game, and to the point where I was like, always bugging my mom, like, can we eat something besides deer tonight? But the 6, 7 years old, following him around, awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Gave me a huge interest to where when I was 10, I went and took hunter safety pass. And so I could start hunting. And then I got a 30-30 at age 11 and started deer hunting with my dad, and shot a good buck when I was 13. And then I hit junior high and high school, played all the sports, and I just put hunting on the back burner, didn't hunt at all.
Mm-hmm.
But when I graduated high school, I didn't forget about hunting, and I realized that I could probably squeeze in some hunting in between work and school, and started right back up.
Yep. You said your dad was into whitetail. Did he ever elk hunt at all, or was that something you found?
Something we found together. When I was 19, I just graduated high school,
Mm-hmm.
turned 19 that summer. And that fall, first semester of the freshman college year, I asked my dad if he wanted to go deer hunting with me, and he said yes. And he took me to some public land that he used to deer hunt. And we were just scouting for deer, and we found a pile of elk. And we had to look up the regulations, like go in the booklet, and found out that there was a rifle elk season starting the next weekend. And we figured those elk would stay there for a week. And so we went to the store and bought rifle elk tags, and we were there opening morning, and I shot a 5x5 bull. And that changed everything for me.
Yeah, I mean, I would say, you guys and a few other people kind of push me. I'm in the Midwest. Whitetail is all we know. Turkey is all we know. Growing up, same kind of story. And I just, for the first time last year, kind of went out to Colorado, the typical, what you think, okay, let's go to Colorado. Let's go into one of these over the counter units. And, it was awesome. I'm glad I did it. I'm obviously from that point, it's like that sparked the addiction, which, I don't need any more addictions right now with everything in life, but we loved it. Me and a group of guys went, and your guys' channel definitely kind of motivated that, because we're obviously super into fitness, super into hunting, and so I think you motivate a lot of people in that aspect. Something you said kind of growing up that I want to talk about is you said you kind of grew up kind of poor. From outsider looking in now, you've grown something that's growing really fast and it's really awesome. Do you think growing up like that kind of motivated you to want to do something more and get more? Have more and develop a better life for yourself?
Yeah, actually, no. I never felt poor. I never felt like I needed or had stuff that I needed that we couldn't get.
Yeah.
No. My parents have always worked hard and paved a way for me to understand work ethic. And so no, and far as like Elk Shape success nowadays, it's like I'm living like a fantasy world right now, because all I really want to do is go elk hunting. And I have a very simple message. I am selling hard work. I truly believe like average guys like you that go to Colorado, you're signing up to like literally work hard for 7 days or 10. Did you guys drive to Colorado or did you fly?
We drove it out.
So that sucks, because you lose a day and a half on both ends of the trip. Did you have hunting partners?
Yeah, we had 3 guys total. Yeah.
So like, you're not going to be the shooter every day.
Every time.
So that's going to so your big dream 10-day hunt, well, 3 days are gone of travel.
Mm-hmm.
Now you have 7 days, and you're not the shooter every day, those 7 days. And you're probably going to have to change spots. So it's like, you get this huge idea about like what your elk hunt's going to be, but when you boil it down, you really have finite number of potential opportunities, and you can't squander them, and you can't go back to camp and take naps or have a campfire and stay up late. Like, it just depends on, I guess, on your definition of success. But for me, like,
for sure,
it's really not a successful elk hunt unless there's meat in the freezer. And so I've just learned, and I'm thankful to have found elk hunting, and elk hunting clashed with my personality, which is I'm very rigid. I'm very all or none. And I've found this thing that drives me more than anything else, to where I take it, I leverage it, and I've created a lifestyle. If Elk Shape goes away, Dan Staton's still getting as many archery elk tags as possible.
Yeah.
And I'm still going to quit whatever job I have, because life is short. I'm going to elk hunt. I'm not going to miss a single day. And so that hasn't changed. As far as the success of Elk Shape, man, like, those things come and go. We may be around, we may be not. I understand that, but nothing about my childhood am I trying to work against. I think a lot of people, like, when they raise their kids, because you have one right now, they're like, oh, I'm never going to be like my parents in this way. Whereas I can look back and I have nothing to say about, well, I'm never going to be like my parents this way. They did an amazing job. If anything, I'm hoping that I can continue to get better at parenting and provide my kids a pathway for a successful life and life full of value.
I think it's cool what you guys are doing, your guys' mission, for just hard work and getting out there and, keeping people healthy, not just for elk season, but for lifetime, and that's why I reached out to you guys, because it just resonates with me well. So, but you were talking, too, about, your channel, you can care less. It's going to grow. It's going to not, it's going to do what it's going to do. What made you want to upload a video? I mean, what was your like, hey, I'm going to start uploading these videos that we're doing to YouTube? What sparked that?
So I had a channel in 2007, and it was called Dan the Fitness Man. And it was just my place to add little pieces, document. I kind of got an idea that, man, if YouTube stays, like, this will be really cool to watch this stuff 10 years down the road. So kind of like had a crystal ball, like, got it to a place for some of my footage to live. And it was tricky getting footage off mini DVs onto a computer and using the Final Cut Pro on a Big Mac. But I loved it. I loved it so much. And in 2010, I actually got hired to do subcontract editing for a couple of TV shows on the Outdoor Channel. Really? So I was behind the scenes, like editing TV shows, writing script for voiceover, and then watching my rough drafts with the producer and making changes, and then watching it eventually on TV and being like, I edited that. I basically made that story based on what they gave me. Yeah. I thought that was cool.
That's awesome. Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So then in 2013, I started Elk Shape, and again, kind of reran my play of, well, I need a place to put some footage for my outdoor stuff. Was still running and owning gyms. I had sold off a business called Train to Hunt to my partner. I didn't want to do that anymore. And I was excited just about elk hunting and being in shape for elk hunting. And I was big into CrossFit and competing at CrossFit. So I wanted to have a place for fitness and elk hunting collided. Came up with the name Elk Shape and ran with it and started uploading stuff at random, whenever, for no particular reason.
Yeah, I obviously scoured back to the 9 years ago and watched the videos, which are awesome. I mean, I like raw stuff, I think, a little bit more sometimes, where I'm like, especially now seeing your stuff now versus the more raw stuff. And so with that, as you kind of started uploading videos, did you start like taking into account, like, this is how I'm going to do? When did you start thinking about thumbnails and titles and videos, or did you just kind of, I'm going to upload as much as all my stuff and just kind of throw, something on there? Did you think about that stuff early days?
I started figuring out thumbnails probably about 6 months to a year before I met Tim Connor, who is basically, I call him the producer of the channel. And I started figuring out, like, you need something pretty good to click on if you're going to get people to watch it. But I wasn't really, and I had monetized the channel at that point, but it wasn't on my radar, as far as views and compensation from YouTube. But I knew that having a channel would help with my sponsorships And I knew that like the companies I worked with wanted to know the subscriber count or the
Yep.
views. And so I would start paying more attention to that when the company started asking me about that. And then when I met Tim, he actually reached out and said, "Hey, I'm from the Midwest, Michigan,
Okay.
and I went elk hunting in Idaho, and we did really well, but only one of three of us killed an elk. I would love to be a guest on your podcast and pick your brain." And I thought, I have a rule on my podcast is the first time you invite yourself on is you're not invited. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
so anyone listening, don't ask people if you can be on their podcast. I just think like they'll ask you if they want you, but he's the exception. I conceded, brought him on. We did a podcast and I found out he lived in town with me. And I didn't know that until after we recorded. So I was like, "Hey, Tim, do you want to come over to my gym? I'm going to work out, come do a workout with me and then go to the archery range and shoot bows." I just thought he was a cool dude. And he did. And he brought his Sony camera with him to work out. And I was like, that's the same camera I have. And then one thing led to another to where, eventually he came and proposed that he come on board and help me with my channel because I suck. And he was like, "I can help you with production quality, telling better stories." And I'm like, "Well, who are you? I think I have more background in this than you do." And he's just a big nerd. He's just a big, giant camera nerd, producer nerd who lives and breathes this stuff. So it didn't take me long to stop arguing with him and to start listening to him. And that two and a half years ago, he came on board and we got serious. We started scheduling 2 videos a week, every week. And we still have done that. We started, really working on titles and thumbnails and hooking people within the first 10 seconds of the video. We tried to polish our production and we try to make real shit, like stuff that's like very relatable, stuff that's like, who I am, even though you've never met me in real life. Like that's the one thing, authenticity and like being who you are and letting these people take a look. And I feel like we've done that to the point where people know us pretty well and know that we're real.
Yeah, no, I think you definitely portray that in you guys' videos. It's like it's almost meant to be for him to invite himself and onto the podcast. And you'd be like, that was kind of meant to be. That's what something, we look into. Obviously, there's a lot of production companies here in Missouri for different channels. We can send all of our stuff to. Obviously, now I do all the editing myself, DaVinci Resolve, free version, do all that. But yeah, I think, once again, I think we're focusing, especially with our channel and stuff like that, is just kind of getting a bunch of content, learning how to film. I mean, that's a whole, like we talked about, that's a whole different thing. Learning how to film, getting good cameras, just stuff like that. But when your channel, and this is something I was going to ask, but you kind of talked about owning businesses prior. So when you got out of college, did you want to be an entrepreneur? Is that kind of was your background before, is that what you were doing, owning different businesses and owning gyms? Kind of walk me through that.
I was on a warpath to be a strength and conditioning coach for the NFL. I wanted to work my way up. So usually you can start at college. And I wanted to, get in out of college, try to like find a position, get hired on and work my way to the NFL. The bummer was I also had become completely addicted to elk hunting. And I had soon realized after a few internships that strength and conditioning coaches, it's a great job, but you don't get compensation's not great. Not that that matters to me, but also you work a ton of hours, and a lot of those hours, especially for football teams in season, there's no time off in the fall whatsoever. And I was about age 25 and I've had quite a career already. I mean, I was working full time as a personal trainer at age 18. And I was managing gyms by age 20. And so by the time I was age 25, I had my master's in exercise phys. I had opened up a speed school in Boise, Idaho. I had been in Arizona working at Athletes Performance, interning, working with the NFL Combine draft class of 2005, as well as MLB players. Mia Hamm, Garcia, Nomar Garcia Parra, all these like big names, Kurt Schilling. And then I'd gone to New Jersey. And I mean, I was on this path, and all that changed when I was about 26, when I discovered CrossFit, which I had heard of CrossFit. I had looked at CrossFit, and from my lens as a strength coach, a certified strength and conditioning specialist, I was like, CrossFit is garbage. This is how you hurt people. And I don't want to get into the big, long story, but the bottom line is I became an adopter of CrossFit at age 26, 27. And my personality is all or none. And I stopped doing everything, moved back home, and opened my own gym.
And you're in Washington, correct?
Yep.
Yep. So from there, and so, okay, so looking back, you know, it was during elk season, like college football. If you were working for a team, you'd be all, did you still enjoy all those things you were doing though? Was that a good, I mean, did you really enjoy doing that down there in Arizona and this combine and all that?
I've always been fascinated with human performance. In fact, that's what my emphasis is in my graduate degree is human performance. And that has never changed. Like, performance is huge to me, and the human body, and how to give it the instructions to get the adaptations that you want for what you're trying to do. Man, that never gets old. I'm still fired up about it. And just kind of love that elk hunting so physical, where I can train for it specifically.
Yeah, I think that's what drew us, is the physical and mental aspect of it. You know, we're trying to push ourselves not physically, but mentally. I am, at least. I say we all the time, but I am, right? I'm always trying to push myself mentally. And I think elk hunting captures so much for somebody who wants to be successful in life, wants to run a business. You know, it's just, you know, you can just push yourself in every aspect. I love it. I legit love it. And after just 1 year of doing it, and of course, watching you guys. But so you open the CrossFit gym up. That starts going well.
Yeah. I mean, you know, you save up, you double down on yourself, you bet on yourself. It was a tough first year. I had to move in with my dad. I had worked another job. I was doing, I was actually selling advertising for Sportsman's Warehouse to pay the bills, but I was also living at the gym, and I didn't take a salary at the gym for over a year. So, I mean, it was humble beginnings, but we ended up running that particular gym for 11 years, which was awesome. And it was mainly awesome because of the community that was built and the people I got to get to know. It was all about the people.
Yeah. And that was at a time where CrossFit was it still really new then as well when you opened the gym up? Or what?
Yeah, in 2008, we were like I don't know, there's probably under a couple hundred CrossFit gyms in the world when I opened up in 2008. And I think my affiliate fee to CrossFit was $500 a year.
Yep.
And I don't even know what the affiliate fee now is. It's probably $4,000 or $5,000 a year to be able to use the name. And there was 15,000 CrossFits in the world. So yeah, we were pretty much at the start of that wave.
Yeah. And I won't dive, I want to dive. I started my own business 3 years ago as well. So I don't want to dive too far into business stuff, because I kind of geeking out about that right now, you know, trying to, you know, get advice, learn different things, how people do other things. But, but yeah, so you start that's going well. Now I do want to fast forward to you build your own home gym, which honestly, till this day is my favorite video you guys posted. Just because I love the gym. I love the setup. Did you always want to do that? Like, okay, when we're, you know, financially, whatever, when we're ready, we're going to do this? Or was it like kind of hey, we should just kind of do this off the spur?
So before I sold the gym, which I don't remember what year that was, but it was probably 3 or 4 years ago, maybe 3 years ago, we always had a few things at our house, like a pull-up bar, sandbag, dumbbells, very modest, but every once in a while, it's nice to not have to drive to the gym, even if you own it, to work out. Because if I go to the gym, I'm going to talk to members. I'm going to clean the bathroom. I'm going to, like, you know, those are just a couple things. Like, I don't go to the gym, my gym, without making sure it's tidy the bathroom's clean, empty the garbages. Like, so it is kind of nice to work out at home, avoid all that. But when we moved to the house we're in right now, we kind of dedicated the garage and we kind of amplified, like all of a sudden we had a rower and a ski erg and I just took these from the gym that I owned. And we had quite a lot of equipment. We were very fortunate. So I just grabbed some stuff from our gym and built a little home gym. And because we had an entire 1-car garage allocated. So we kind of really made it nice. Now, when I sold the gym, our intent was to go keep working out at the gym that we had owned because we love the community. But I found out quickly, working for myself again, like in a completely different business, Elk Shape, that it cost me 20 minutes to drive to the gym I used to own. I would work out, I would socialize, 20 minutes back. That's time I don't have to waste. So I started working out in the garage with my wife, and we started buying little pieces of equipment and built it up. And then COVID hits. And so we're full-time garage gym people right when COVID hit. And that's when I was like, we wanted to build a shop I wanted a place to keep our dirt bikes, our 4-wheelers, like our toys, because I do all the maintenance on those things. I was like, we need a shop. We have enough room on our property. We have just under 2 acres here in town. And I literally talked my wife into building a shop instead of paying our house off right away. And building in during that time.
Was that tough to talk her into that?
Not at all. She's not like me when it comes to finances. Like, she's very much, I'm really rigid and disciplined and a tightwad. And I like to save. I hate spending. I only like investing. And she's like, whatever. I want her that way. I don't want us to be too much together on that, I need some yin and yang.
I feel you there.
So during COVID, we built this gym, prices skyrocketed. Honestly, we paid a lot more money than I wanted to, but we built this shop. And this is funny, I don't think I've talked about this, but when it came to ordering the flooring for it, I ordered all rubber. And when we put all the rubber down, I was looking around and I was like, shoot, Alicia, I don't see us pulling the 4-wheelers in, the dirt bikes in, me doing wrenching, maintenance. Let's talk to Rep Fitness about making this entire thing a gym. And we talked to Rep Fitness. I know all the people there really well, and made a wish list, and we worked it out to where we could get it all. And we put it all together, as you saw in that YouTube video. Beautiful. And we're like, okay, we built a gym. We didn't build a shop. Like, there will be no shopping going on. This is all for working out. And looking back, no regrets. It's awesome.
It's wall-to-wall gym.
Somebody I seriously don't even know is parked at my driveway, and they're in my gym right now working out. It's awesome. A friend of my wife's, and it's a Saturday and they're in there working out. They don't have to pay for, we don't charge anything. We are able to bless people, like, all glory to God. Like, how cool is that?
That's awesome.
So
that's huge. I mean, and what you did too with all the elk and the rafters and Waldo, and the equipment is just pristine. And what you guys do for, the elk camp every year, Elk Shape camp. I mean, it's awesome. And you talked in that video about possibly letting people come in and work out. And of course, now you're doing it. I think, God blesses us in a lot of ways, and so that's awesome. I think that's really awesome. I know, same thing you talked about though, driving to a gym, right? You got to drive there. I talk to everybody. I talk, hey, what's that, get going. And I think we've always wanted to kind of own a gym. I have, I've kind of gone away from that. Just because I'm like, I see what goes into it. It just doesn't excite me to want to do that type of business. It was just a cool concept at first, but yeah. So now that you have the Elk Shape channel, YouTube channel, and you have that gym, is there any other things that you do, like I would call work, like you kind of have your hand in as far as business wise outside of those things?
Yes, I have.
I know you probably got a long list.
No, I don't.
Nope.
I'm very simple, man. Like, and I want a simple life. I don't want a lot of complications. Like if I like doing Airbnbs and VRBOs
Yeah.
and real estate and all that stuff scares me.
Yeah.
I'm just not, I'm just intimidated by it all. And so I literally run most of my decisions through elk hunting filters. So I run my summer through that filter where I'm like, we need to spend as much time as a family together because I am leaving y'all for a long time.
Yeah.
And this year, especially, I got a lot of hunting plans. So same with business decisions and stuff like that. Like I just want to be able to shoot, work out, hang out with my kids and be present and live a simple life.
Yeah.
So I don't try to do a bunch of stuff, but I have the elkcollective.com with John Gabriel. We co-own that. That is online elk hunting school, basically in a digital video basis, which is obviously suits our fancy. And that's been huge. We've been teaming up with Onyx. We got a bunch of stuff we're doing with the Elk Collective, and I like it because it's just something you can continually build the library of videos because there's always little nuance, no tricks. And regionally speaking, elk hunting's got a lot of similarities, a lot of commonality, but Colorado elk are going to differ by degree. Versus, Western Montana elk versus Western Washington elk versus Eastern Idaho elk. And so we're just trying to build more of those micro areas, those little sub areas of elk hunting and get more subject matter experts. So that takes a lot of time too, but elk hunting and fitness, I try to do stuff there because that's what I'm passionate about.
And it probably doesn't feel like a job to you at all. You probably just feel like, I'm guessing you just feel like you're just living a blessed life doing it all,
It's what I want to be doing. So, and I'm doing it. Don't get me wrong. I work so many hours in the day. It's insane. Like I'm usually up at 5 and I try my darndest to stop at 5 p.m. Literally, I try to stop to hang out with the family. But there are nights where they're going to bed and I'm sneaking back down into this lab to do things and keep track of all the stuff. But I love it. Honestly, Seth, it's a blessing.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'll tell you what you guys did, which I thought, because I think the Elk Collective is going to be, I looked, at all that probably about a month ago. I was looking at all that stuff. I thought you kind of were a part of that. I didn't understand how much, but I think that's huge for the Midwest guys, right? The whitetail guys, because I think our knowledge of elk hunting is, if you measure knowledge 1 to 10, we have about a 1 knowledge of what to do. We all want to go do it, right? We all want to leave the whitetail woods and go elk hunt. But our knowledge we can do as much as we can on YouTube. I think the Onyx seminar you guys did, I was there. I was on the Zoom call. That was probably one of the most educational, just simple stuff. How do you draw tags in each state? I mean, we were driving home from Colorado, looking all that stuff up, and it's not clear online. It's not, pristine. Like, this is exactly how it goes. We had one of my 3 guys in that trip went to do the Idaho tag, and he thought you logged on right at the time it starts, but there's people already, what I'm saying? They were logged on. You can log on at midnight, correct? Or
15 minutes before.
15 minutes before. There we go. Or not midnight. Yeah, 15 minutes before. And he had no idea, he logged on right at the time, and he was like, 18,000 in line, whatever it was. So different things like that. You guys, that was one of the most educational things. And if the Elk Collective is anything going to be like that, where it's education on top of education, I think that's huge for us Midwest guys for sure, and I'm sure
you guys have a lot going against you financially just to get there. And especially with, I went bear hunting yesterday and I got a 30-gallon tank in my truck, man.
Oh yeah.
And it was almost $200 to fill it up. And I'm thinking how many times did you guys have to fill up when you drove from Missouri to Colorado?
Twice. So 7 times total.
Yeah, we're over 5, and obviously there's a lot of taxes built into that gas price in my states, but yeah, dude. So I think I think financially, you guys have it, that, and then time to get there, and the fact that you don't get to scout it in real life,
Yeah.
and you don't get, you have a lot going against you. And so it would behoove you to maybe invest in yourself. And this is definitely me selling the Elk Collective to your listeners, is like,
yeah, for sure.
You don't have the luxury of the School of Hard Knocks like I did. Like my elk hunting learning curve sucked. I shot this bull with a rifle at age 19, and I was like, this is easy. I'm going to get a bow because I want to hunt these suckers when they're bugling. So that's the only reason I ever got into archery.
Yeah.
Is I grabbed a bow, and at age 20 started elk hunting with a bow. And it took me till, man, I think it was 2001 was my first archery elk season. And 2006 is the first time I ever notched a tag on a bull with a bow. That's a lot of years. And those were lots of seasons and of just sucking and not knowing what to do. And it wasn't until I got the right mentorship that I really started putting the pieces of the puzzle together. And guess what? It's still hard, and I'm still unproven. It's 2022. Yeah. I say this every year, but you got to believe me. I've not killed an elk in 2022. My slate is wiped clean. I'm just like, I'm with you. I'm like unproven, and I better do all the work, get my confidence up, and be ready to grind, because that's what's going to take.
Yeah. And I think I don't want to classify two types of elk hunters, but I think hopefully what your guys' message will take the guys who just want to go out and have a camping trip where they walk up the mountain and they hunt all day. And that's fine. Like if that brings people complete happiness, that's awesome. I love that. Obviously we want to go out there and we want to kill an elk. We want to grind. And I think the year one, I'd be honest with you, we didn't work hard enough. But yeah,
you can control that, Seth. Like you're in charge of your effort. And that darn off season is so incredibly long that you got nothing but time to think about what ifs. What if I'd give it 100% effort instead of 90%, like that 10% more?
Yeah.
What if you were hunting with guys that were like pushing you to go harder versus you having to be the guy that's like, hey, like I only surround myself with dudes that are like, never say no. And they throw out ideas that I'm like, okay, I guess we're leveling up. You know what I mean? And I think that's important who you surround yourself with.
No, I couldn't agree more. I think I realized that 3 years ago, just in the whitetail woods, because I had a friend I deployed with. Obviously we were deployed and he was talking about bow hunting. I'm like, nobody likes bow hunting, like what he was talking about. So I was like, hey, you bow hunt? He's like, yeah, I just got into it. And we, from that point on, we became, and he was one that went out to Colorado. What I realized when I met him, when he came to Missouri, he's from Georgia, to whitetail hunt. My dad has a farm in Missouri, came up to hunt, and he's like, hey, I'm sitting all day. And I was like, man, all right, I'm kind of, and at that time, I wasn't fully invested. I wasn't pushing myself at any of that. And that's why I didn't see success, right? I didn't have this behind me. I didn't have the success that I was wanting. I was doing. And he made me sit all day, 6 days straight. And this deer is actually the one that came out of that hunt. 6 days, all day in a stand. My back was killing me. It was the last day. I remember the last day, that morning I got up and I was like, if he wasn't here, I wasn't going. Right. And of course he's like, so you're right. I noticed that when I bring those people, even in like just life, my friends, I've had to, in the last 4 years, kind of know who is going to bring so much value to me. And then I got to bring value back to them as well, obviously, as you know. So I don't want to go too deep in that, but that's something I really realized what you said there. And so he came out to me with Colorado, and I honestly felt like I held him back in Colorado, because he was pushing us and the other guy to go further and do more. And we kind of did. And then we kind of got, we're like, we just held back. So you're 100% right. I mean, I couldn't agree more. I didn't want to go too far in a tangent there, but yeah. All right. I'll kind of pivot, cause I can go down that trail all day. So, I had some notes here. I'll just start with this one. 2022 goals for you in Elk Shape and things you want to do in 2023. What are some things you really have set on your goals? And do you set goals kind of on a yearly basis, monthly basis, daily basis?
My only goal in 2022 is to kill an elk with a bow.
Yeah.
And I keep it super simple.
All right.
That's it. If I do that, everything else falls in place as far as, where elk will be on the menu. We'll get good content for what we do. We'll be able to set up our Elk Shape camps for 23, get those things sold to where we have an awesome audience to teach elk hunting in person.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll get some content for the Elk Collective as well. And this is, all hinges upon, getting an elk tag. So I better know how to get elk tags and teach people how to get elk tags. I need to stay in tip-top shape. I'm 40, definitely feeling 40 some days, but with podcast download numbers, I don't care what they are. They are what they are. My goal is to bump out a podcast a week. YouTube, my goal is to put out 2 videos a week that are good. As far as Tim really wants to hit 100K subs in YouTube, we got a long ways to go to get there. I don't even know where we're at right now. We're over 50,000, but I don't know what number we're at, but I don't pay attention to that stuff. I keep my head down and I keep grinding. As far as Instagram, we do a lot of content there. My goal is to be consistent there.
Do you have somebody manage that for you, or do you post everything yourself?
Nope. I do it all. I don't really want anyone to manage my social because I answer direct messages.
Yeah.
And I will say, like, hey, pump the brakes. If you're going to send me a DM, like, please don't send me 13 in a row, like
Yeah.
I do try to get back to them. Instagram does not have that thing organized to where I can like mark it unread or come back to it. Like, so if I open it, I at least respond. I do get a lot of people messaging back saying, gee, thanks for responding. I was surprised you would. And I've always thought, well, I ain't nobody special. I'm just like you. I'm going to respond. I would want to be responded to. And then I don't know. I just try to stay on top and I try to treat people like I want to be treated. And I want to encourage people to find their best self, find what makes them tick. Maybe it's not elk hunting, Seth, but maybe it's rentals or business or whatever their family. But my goals all fall under the umbrella of that. I just want to kill an elk.
Yeah, you're doing it all for that's awesome. And I wanted to, touch back to what you said, responding to someone. I think it's a bigger deal, and you may realize this, responding to somebody, I think, is a huge deal. Because, who knows where someone's at in their life. And that may mean a lot to them. And something I heard this the other day on a podcast, and it really resonated, not for me because, I'm not a huge influencer or anything like that, but something that made sense is, and maybe this resonated with you because you influence a lot of people, but someone said, hey, to someone that was a big influencer, post more of the good times and when you succeed. Because as your fans, like, look, I'm a fan, right? I love your guys' stuff. When you guys succeed, it almost feels like we succeed because we just follow you so closely, or we follow people so closely and we love their stuff. It feels like we succeed. And that really was like, wow. I was like, I noticed that because when people that I really watch and I love to watch, and I watch a lot of people just on YouTube and take stuff from them, when they succeed, I'm like, I get like excited, for them. And so maybe and you may knew that, but I hope that resonates because you're doing that, like by responding to people, that's huge. I think that's really authentic. So I just wanted to say that, and you may know that already, but.
No, that's great to hear. I do like the community, and I like bow hunters. I like elk hunters especially, but bow hunters, man, I'm a bow hunter. Like, I really am. Like, I had my dad trying to talk me into shooting a bear this year with my rifle. I took my rifle to the range and I shot it at some still targets. And my dad's just like, holy crap, that gun is, and the gun is amazing. I mean, it's not the shooter. The gun is unbelievable. It doesn't miss. And he's like, you could have got that bear, you know? And I'm just like, I don't care. I'm a bow hunter. I want to shoot it with an arrow. When that rifle hunt ends, when that trigger gets squeezed, dude, that's when my bow hunt begins. That's where I start making the stock. And yeah, I'm probably going to screw it up, or the bear's probably going to move. But when it does finally all come together, and it hopefully will, it is like a feeling I can't describe. And it's so much more rewarding. So, man, we've had I probably look like crap. I haven't slept much in the last, today's Saturday. We left Thursday afternoon. We went bear hunting, and I ended up killing a bear on Thursday. That's awesome. It's going to be, I got to edit all the footage and stuff and tell the story, but I'll give you a sneak preview. Like, so we have never predator called bears before. Like, I just sneak up and try to shoot them. And Jake Webb, my camera guy who I hired, and he seems to be working more and more days with me. My payroll's going up. So, and I love that, because
love Jake. Great personality. Seems like a great guy, by the way.
Dude, I'm telling you, I've never met anyone who's got a smile on their face when we're doing miserable, ungodly things. And I'll tell you like an example, but like, so I'm sitting here glassing this basin, and I'm looking for bears, and it's bear 30. So it's 4:30 p.m. and it's bears are going to start moving, and we're in a really good like secondary glassing spot where I can get to any bear within, let's say, 40 minutes. A primary glassing spot, it's usually a bigger vantage. You can see maybe 5-6 miles, but it's going to take you hours to get to the bear. We spend the bear 30 time at secondaries, and I just sat down. I just started glassing, and he busts out this predator call, doesn't tell me, and he starts blowing on like a dead rabbit, and it seriously like startled me. I'm like, could you give me a heads up? You're about to blow. We've never done that before. And then like literally 6 seconds later, I look, and there's a bear coming at us on the road, on this old logging road. And I'm like, get your camera out.
Yeah.
And we didn't get good footage of it. The bear heard me yelling at Jake, why did you, but that right there is how I kill the bear, is because, so that night, and you'll get to hear the story before you see it. This bear that I've been hunting, we got this little, I call it like a little magic dirt logging road. It's abandoned, it's gated, you got to walk in, and the wind is very nuanced there. So if you haven't been there before, you'll screw it up. But I know not to go there until the last 20 minutes of daylight, and I know how to approach it to where you'll have the wind, and you're just basically still hunting. You're walking a road that winds, and you just look around every corner, and there's usually a bear on there. He comes off the bank right in front of us, and I was like, turn the camera on, and I range him. He's 54, but he's walking down the road. So we're literally walking with him, and we go around the corner, and his girlfriend, they're already a breeding pair, is 50 yards in front. And he finally stops, starts feeding. So we sneak up to about 45. And I definitely planned on getting closer, like way closer. And he just goes and kind of looks our way. And then he sticks his nose up, and I can feel the wind in our face. But when bears stick their nose up and start kind of like, they're really trying to suck in all the information, and there's a good chance they're going to run.
Yeah.
And I was like, now or never. So I ranged him, pulled back, and I just had this beautiful break, 45 yards, and that I'm shooting iron will single bevel, and it's going right towards the bear. And the bear, we have it in, we filmed it in 4K.
Or can you slow it down?
120 frames a second.
Yeah.
The bear's just like, I don't think so. And he matrixed my arrow. I'm like, and I did hit him, but my arrow literally hits his back and ricochets off. And we didn't know this, right? Like, I thought I smoked him because it made that and the bear growled and he ran off the bank. Well, luckily we were able to review the footage on a tiny LCD screen right there. And I could see my arrow. I thought I missed. I didn't even know I hit him. I thought I'm like, dude, I shot over him. He ducked that arrow. And I didn't know bears could move that much.
Yeah, I was about to ask. I didn't know they could either, like duck arrows and stuff like that. So yeah.
It's alert bears. If his head had been down feeding, he would have never seen that thing coming. But alert bears can move and jump the string. So maybe aim a little lower, just a little. So after that, we could hear the bear and his girlfriend kind of thrashing around off this steep cliff. And he's kind of huffing and being really aggressive at us. And I look at Jake and I'm like, well, dude, blow your predator call. Like it worked already, to, blow it. And I'll just say Jake blows that predator call. The second shot is not on camera, unfortunately, but 8.2 yards. I shot that bear.
So you're going to put all like a lot of that storytelling in the video.
Yeah. Yep.
How intense of a moment was that?
You'll see my reaction after I shoot. I don't ever do that. And I don't even know who that is, but I'm like fist throwing my armor. Like I'm like so intense. And I'm like, dude, I don't even act like that when I shoot an elk. Usually I'm just like, yay.
Yeah.
I was fired up. And that bear was so aggressive. So when we found him in the bottom of this cliff, that first arrow hit and ricocheted off, but it opened him up really like this big, that single bevel iron will.
It didn't hit the spine at all.
It didn't hit the spine, right underneath, but still managed to ricochet off. And then that second shot was right behind the shoulder, quartering two. And bears don't bleed that well, to be honest with you. I mean, they bleed, but they have spongy, long hair that soaks it all up. And a lot of times their hair will get sucked into the wound and create a plug. Not on this bear. That iron will, single bevel, opened him up like an expandable. And it was like, we just followed blood. Like it was the easiest blood trailing. And then getting that bear out of that. And that's probably the worst place I've ever had a bear die. I've killed a lot of bears and the nastiest pack out because it was raining on us and slick. And Jake, that's what all that was to say. Look at Jake. And I'm like, you're the only other guy I've ever met who thinks this is awesome, who's having fun. The more miserable, the better. It's like when you hear Cameron Haynes talk about Roy Roth. Jake's like, I'm not saying he's my Roy Roth. I'm not saying that at all, but I'm just saying like, I found a guy, a hunting partner who, just doesn't have a shitty attitude ever. And is willing to do whatever it takes to have success. And I love that. Is he the best video camera guy? Absolutely not. I'll be the first one to tell you, and he would too, but he's learning. But he's a reliable ally in the mountains. And I just want to encourage your listeners to treat that decision of who you hunt with very importantly, and vet who you hunt with in the off season by scheduling regularly reoccurring workout times and shooting times and scouting times, and see if they show up consistently. That's your litmus test to see if that's going to work out for you.
The last question, we'll kind of round it off here. Advice for somebody starting a YouTube channel that just wants to put their content out there and get something going. Some advice for them, and then this is a double question, and then quick advice, because I know Elk Collective is going to help a lot. Quick advice for the Midwest guy who wants to go elk hunt and doesn't know where to go, doesn't know what to do.
Okay, let's talk about YouTube. So I certainly don't know it all, but there's some best practices out there. Understand what it is you're trying to do with your YouTube. If your goal is to grow an audience, grow a community, plan on taking it more serious. If you don't care how many views, if you ever get a comment, then obviously I don't think that's who we're talking about. But if you do care, try to figure out, give the people what they want. If I gave the people what I wanted, it would be 90% working out and probably 10% archery. And I love archery, but the people like the tinkering, and I am a tinkerer, like a mad scientist or a tinkerer. I'm just psycho about archery, and I want everything to be perfect. And I keep chasing perfection, and it's not attainable with archery. That's why I love it.
Yeah.
But the people love that. So we bring in these characters like Josh Jones, MFJJ, and Iron Will Bill, and Joel Turner, and even Ranch Fairy. I mean, we don't agree on anything, but I still bring him on because I value how much research he does. And that's what the people want. So that's what we give them. So give the people what they want. Maybe not necessarily what you want. I certainly would love to be doing 4 or 5 videos a week of every workout I do a week and being like, go do it, try it.
Yeah.
Beat my time. How did you do? More nutrition stuff. Like, I'm really passionate. I mean, I'm Dan the Fitness Man. I love that stuff. That's not what the people really necessarily signed up for. So understand your audience. Thumbnails and titles are everything. So you got to work your way backwards. It wouldn't hurt to make a thumbnail. We don't do this, but it wouldn't hurt to make a thumbnail and a title first, and then go make the stuff around that, and provide people with a payoff on every video that you make. So hook them, tell them a story, have a payoff at the end, and be passionate about it. Don't make it work, make it fun. Editing's really hard, but if you don't edit, you can't film, which is why my friend Jake is literally, since January 1st, we made him get a computer. We made him get DaVinci. We made him get Adobe Premiere. We made him start editing. He's slow as molasses, but you can't film until you know how to edit. So learn how to edit first, like learn everything about editing. Then your filming will take less time because you'll know which shots, which angles you need. Tim and I can make 3 YouTube videos in an hour. Because we've done this so long and we know what to do and we know what we're trying to do. The cool thing is that to make a viral video, don't ask me. I don't know how to do that. Just be yourself, be authentic, and be passionate about what you're doing. And, views will come. People will get interested. Build a community. Be vulnerable. Show who you really are. Those are the things that we try to do.
It's huge. And I love what you guys are doing. Of course, I've said that a million times, but yeah. And I tried to learn editing as well prior to filming, and it's difficult. It takes a lot of time, but it just goes into the simple fact of you got to grind a little bit to get to what you want out of a video. And then that second question for a Midwest guy, if you got a guy that's willing to put in the work, willing to do what it takes to kill an elk, is serious about it, but just doesn't have knowledge of the West, obviously he can start doing some research, the Elk Collective, he can start, watching you guys, all that. What would be your advice for that Midwest guy trying to go out that thinks Colorado is the only option, or, like we all think? What would be your advice for them?
I mean, I don't know where to start. I guess we'll start with identify what a successful hunt would mean for them. Is it a grip and grin on Instagram? Is it, I want to hear at least 10 bugles? So that would mean at least 1 bugle a day while we're actually there. I want to get into elk. I want to be under 100, or I want to get to full draw, or I want to shoot any elk, cow or bull, as long as it's legal, or spike. I don't know, whatever, identify what step 1, and then work towards that goal. And don't let other people or social media decide if you had a successful hunt. So maybe you came back from Colorado, you had an elk encounter every day. It didn't work out, but you achieved your goal of a successful hunt. You had an elk counter every day. You survived. You learned so much. You get on social media and you start scrolling down, and it's like, dead bull. And you're like, my hunt wasn't successful. Well, comparison will rob you of your joy. And I don't like that about social media. And so I would say, do you stay in your own lane and identify what's going to be a successful hunt for you. Now, we've got someone like me, I'm going on my 21st elk season. If I don't kill an elk, it will not be a successful season for me. I will not be allowed to say that 21 years ago. That's not, even though that's what I thought, looking back, I was wrong.
Everybody thinks that. Yeah.
I was absolutely wrong. I need to learn as much. And I'm here to learn year in and year out. And Lord knows I'm going to learn a ton this year.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm never going to have it all figured out. I'm going to make some mistakes. To me, a mistake is something I've done before in the past, and I did it again. That's a mistake. It's not a mistake if you forget to check the wind your first time and you walk in and you blow them out. You're like, okay,
yeah,
I'm never doing that again. And you shouldn't. But don't make, mistakes where it's repeatable. Like, don't do that.
Yeah.
And write your own playbook while you're learning everyone else's playbook. And eventually you'll come up with Seth Rhodes' playbook. And that playbook's special to you because it maybe has a little Dan in there. And it has a little elk nut or a little elk 101 or whoever, or Phelps game calls.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter, but write your own playbook, identify what a successful hunt will be like for you, for where you're at on your journey, and go execute.
Yeah, I love it. That's perfect. And that kind of made me rethink how our hunt was last year. I was thinking, we failed all that, but I think it was a success. We made it out to Colorado. We made it out there. We actually got out of our houses, got up in the mountains. I just rewatched a video the other day of us in the mountains, and I was just like, man, I miss that place. Man, I miss that, so that was a success. I captured footage of me there, and that reminds me, man, I want to go back. So yeah, you're right. It actually kind of makes me change my opinion on last year a little bit,
Absolutely.
because we, I kept saying mistakes, but that was just learning. Okay, now this year, if I make them again, we'll talk about them as mistakes. But now, lastly, I do want to ask you this. I love Cameron Haynes. I've looked up to his mentality, mindset, what he posts, and what he's about. And you've met him a few times, correct?
We go way back, 2008.
Oh, wow.
It was the first time that we hung out, and yeah, we've stayed in touch for quite a while.
Is he pretty nice? Obviously, a great person in person, just an awesome guy to be around.
Yeah, he's definitely one of the hardest working people you'll ever meet. Everything. I think he's one of the most underrated writers. His social media game obviously is good, but it's nothing compared to his writing ability. His writing is what led to me actually meeting him. In 2001, I came across some of his articles, and what he was writing spoke to me. And I was like, I like this guy. That he is hardcore. He is doing all these cool things. And then eventually, being in the industry, I met him in like 2006 was the first time I met him.
Mm-hmm.
And we became friends instantly, and we've always stayed in touch. And so him in real life, he's very mellow. He's very chill. But he's also, you're only seeing him in person because he's not running, lifting, or at his job or shooting his bow. Like you're catching him in his only time he's in chill mode. But that dude's a killer. He's great for archery, and he gets a lot of crap from haters, and it doesn't fade him. I've given him crap over the years, but I've always respected the fact that he's one of the most legitimate badass elk hunters on this planet.
And it just amazes me, he shows the normal working class American that works 40 hours a week, because he still does it, exactly. And time and time again, he shows them, like, you're taking that week vacation with your family to Florida. That's awesome. We don't do that. I take my week, I go elk hunting, it's just, I don't know. I just really resonate with his story. I can't wait to buy his book. I'm going to listen to it on Audible, because I think David Goggins and Joe Rogan did a little voiceover for it. I think it's #1 right now on audio books as well. So I'm excited to read that one. But yeah, he's just an awesome guy. And I wanted to ask you about him, because I think you guys worked out recently or something on social media. I can't even remember. I think he posted something, but I just wanted to ask what type of person he was, and that's pretty awesome that you get to, pull a little bit from him, because I'm sure he brings a lot of value to people. So.
Absolutely. Yeah. He's very genuine.
Yeah. Well, thanks again for jumping on. Like, I can't thank you enough. I could talk for another couple hours about so much business stuff and hunting and all that, but I want to respect your time with the family.